Hey everyone, welcome back. Happy Friday to us all and to you all, obviously. Today is going to be a pretty short video. We only have a couple things to talk about. Obviously, Bitcoin miners were up today, which is great to see. We also have a Cipher reporting their production update for April, and then we have also Sue Ennis from Hut 8 provided a little update as far as what hyperscalers are looking for, tier 1 data center providers. We'll take a look at it. It's kind of interesting and a little bit eye-opening as well. It kind of goes in with what I talked about yesterday as well, about why we haven't really seen hyperscalers getting into bed with some of these Bitcoin miners. Okay, so we got all that happening here, but here's basically it. Price action, Cipher, miners. We got the short correction as well on one of them. Thanks to one of my Patreon members. They pointed out I had a mistake for one of the miners. We'll take a look at that as well. All right, but as always, you guys know the drill. Not financial advice for entertainment only. Please do your own research. Full disclosure below that. Hit the like button, subscribe. Helps me out tremendously here. And let's take a look at Bitcoin and miners today. So Bitcoin finished out the week in the green here. It was up just a little bit, 0.42%. It was up a little bit higher than that. We got to a new high of 97,948 on the day, and then we closed at 96,929. So still pretty good, right? We're still going up in the right direction. We're going in the upwards direction. I love seeing that, which is good. On the week here, we are going to be in the green here. On the week, we're so far about 3%, which is nice. It's not as nice as the 10% we had the prior week, but it's still 3%. We got a couple more days on it to go, tomorrow, obviously, and Sunday as well. We'll see where they end up at. Miners did okay today. Some did actually pretty good, all things considered. Bitfarms was down just a little bit here, 0.97%. It closed at $1.02, so it's still above $1 there. BitDeer was up nicely here. On that one, it was up another 7.76%. It's now nicely above the 50-day moving average. Cipher was up also a little bit here, 1.4%. Cleanspark was up also a little bit here, was up higher. It was, I think, at 1.34%. Then it came back down towards the day as Bitcoin was coming down a little bit as well, but it's doing good here also. CORZ was up 2.2% on the day, above the 50 moving average as well. Hive was up 1.7%. Closed above the 50-day simple moving average as well. Hut 8, same thing, up 2.15%. IREN was up just a little bit here, 2.51%. MAR was up 3.06% also. Riot 7.98 had a nice day here today, considering they had the release on their financials yesterday. So it didn't do that bad, right? It kind of actually went up here. So is it the potential for HPC there? I think that's possibly what's causing the stock to maybe go up a little bit here. We shall see in time. And Wolf was down just a little bit here, down 0.93%. It's still nicely above the 50-day simple moving average, so things are looking pretty good for the miners right now. Long-term still bullish. MicroStrategy was up a little bit, 3.5. Galaxy continues to run up here. It was up 11.6% as it gets closer to being listed on the NASDAQ. I think that's helping the stock out there. Also, the deal that they got with CoreWeave is helping things out for sure. On that one, what else do you have here? Small miners were up, kind of mixed here a little bit. More were in the green, and a couple were in the red here. You can see Any was up 6, Argo was up 7, Digital was up 1.9, Digihost or DigiPower, I think they call themselves now. They're up they were down 1.41. DMG was up just barely 0.05, and Mawson was down 5.84, and Canon was down 0.68. The ETFs were actually in the green, which was nice. If you guys own ETFs, things are looking pretty good here. Let's take a look at Bitcoin here really quick. We'll get into Sue comments here in a second here, but Bitcoin is still up 2.62% in May. So pretty good start here so far. We have quite a ways to go here. And Bitcoin ETF inflows so far as of yesterday here. We got quite we had a positive day yesterday. The day prior, we actually had a negative day. Surprisingly, BlackRock bought quite a bit, 267 million, but others have sold out a little bit more. And that's why we were down just 56 million on it. So that broke our little rally that we had here in the ETFs going positive on that. Okay. But let's take a look at Sue Ennis and her comments on HPC AI deals with hyperscalers here. Let me know if you guys get an echo or something like that. I've gotten comments on other videos where I do a video and you guys get an echo. Let me know if that's the case. I'm going to mute myself here for the time being while this is going on, and hopefully you guys don't hear that echo. But let's see what Sue had to say from Hut 8 here, okay?
Hey guys, so I want to come on and talk about some of the conversations I've been having with institutions lately who have been asking me, why haven't any deals been signed by tier 1 data centers and Bitcoin miners? As per last week's Data Center World, Oracle, Meta, Amazon, Google are all aggressively pursuing power deals, and we've seen deals get done with CoreWeave. Demand for power is still very much outstripping supply. Bitcoin miners are sitting on over 7 gigawatts of available power. Hut 8 alone has 2.8 gigawatts of power under exclusivity, 430 megawatts of which has near-term potential AI power potential. So what gives? And here are some of the things that we're hearing. So a few things. Number one, hyperscalers are becoming increasingly interested in powered shell buildouts versus full stack builds. Number two, hyperscalers prefer to work with developers they've already worked with in the past, like a Vantage or an Edge Connect. So is there a world where miners who have AI eligible powered land sign a JV with a developer in order to get a deal done? Yeah, possibly. But let's unpack powered shells. What are they and why might it make more sense for a hyperscaler? So powered shells are effectively like a data center skeleton, and they include things like physical structure to power the site, connectivity, and proximity to fiber. But what they don't typically include are critical IT infrastructure like UPS, generators, and cooling systems. So why would a hyperscaler not just want the skeleton and not the full body? A lot of end users in this case are not sure what they're going to need 2 to 3 years out from now from a computing power and cooling perspective, because chip technology continues to evolve at such a rapid rate. And they would rather own that customization versus having to rip apart and renovate a full turnkey data center. As I said, chip technology continues to evolve and is only getting more complex, and things like cooling are critical for the future of compute. So with a powered shell, the end user has a lot more control, flexibility, and agility with respect to the trajectory of their business. So as always, just my opinion, not the opinion of Hut 8, just reporting back what I'm hearing from in the field. Talk to you soon, guys. Bye.
Okay, so pretty interesting, right? Talked about this a little bit yesterday about, why we're not seeing these kind of deals come through. And I remember on Riot's call for their Q1 financial results, they were asked a question on also deals with HPCI. And one of the things that Jason Les brought up was also that, a lot of the talks are around these kind of power shells where they're just looking basically for megawatts and fiber connectivity, and they wouldn't build it out themselves. So basically leasing the land that's connected to the megawatts there with the substation, whatever it might be. And that's kind of interesting to note there, because they do want the control of it, which then it doesn't become all that profitable for the miner, right? Whether it's Riot or Hut 8 or, whoever else is in that field, IREN, where they don't get paid as much on that. If they develop the site completely, build out the data center themselves, right? Build the data center potentially, and then lease it out to these hyperscalers, they make a lot more money on it. So maybe that's kind of the hiccup that we're seeing right now is, one, the hyperscalers like to work with maybe the companies that they worked with in the past on these kind of deals. And two, they want these kind of power shells where they do have control over these data centers more so than, like Sue was saying, that maybe they have to rebuild something or adjust something, and it makes it much more advantageous for them to do it that way. So I thought it was kind of interesting. And, just another reason why I'm still skeptical, hesitant on these kind of plays playing out with the miners potentially. We might see one or two happen here. I don't know, maybe more. But right now we're not seeing it, and maybe this is the reason why. But let me know what you guys think of that. And let's get into Cipher here really quick. But Sue's great. I've been following Sue for a long time. We've had conversations as well. Sue has been fantastic, even back from the Hut 8 days. So she's definitely a great asset for Hut 8 there. All right, going on here to Cipher. So Cipher announces mining for April 2025 operational update here. Key metrics, not much going into it here. BTC mined is 174, but there's a caveat to that. Part of it is part of their JV there. Bitcoin sold was 350, so definitely more than they actually mined here, and then some. Bitcoin held was 855, so that is down from where it was the month prior. Month in operating hash rate still 13.5. And then, as I said, the BTC mine was a caveat there. It includes also April power sales estimates, equivalent to about 3 Bitcoin. That's not too, it's about, 300,000, 270,000, whatever it might be. That's not a big deal there. We're going to be off by a little bit. But also, and 24 BTC mined at JV data centers representing Cipher's ownership. So I'm taking out the 24 from the 174, and I think I got them down to, 150? Or maybe I got them down to 154, something like that. So we're pretty close to it as it is. And then here's a little bit of management commentary for April. Cipher delivered solid production in April despite a 3-day planned shutdown at Odessa by the company's power provider for an on-site maintenance under the terms of the power purchase agreement. Cipher's power provider is entitled to 5% curtailment hours per annum at the site. So they were down a little bit, and we can see that actually in the numbers here for how many days they mined in April here. So let's take a look at Cipher, and then we'll get into the update, the correction on the shorts as well. But Cipher right now has about 361 million shares outstanding. They are going to be providing their Q1 financial results. That's going to be coming up here in, when is that? May 6th. So we're 3 days away from that. So that's going to be happening, what is it going to be? Is that going to be Monday or Tuesday? I can't remember. But that's coming up, so we'll see what their share count is like at that point. I'm expecting not much dilution, mainly because they have been selling Bitcoin here for a while, but still. So with 361 million shares, market cap about 1.1 billion there. Performance for the last 12 weeks. Well, 12 weeks ago wasn't great. They were down almost, 48% down. 20 weeks or 8 weeks ago, they're down 20%. 4 weeks, in the last 4 weeks, they're up 46%, and last week they were up 29%. So they had a pretty nice run here in the last 4 weeks. Current hash rate 13.5 exahash here. So that's still the same that we've seen here. What else do we have here? BTC HODL is down to 855, so that's 82 million right now in value. HODL market cap is 7.24, and each share has about 23 cents in there. Self BTC mine here, like I said, 154. They're probably down to like 150, so we're off by about 3 there or something like that. On that one, that has come down from March. Again, April had one less day than March did. And then revenue here has come down as well. They peaked in December with 20.3. Obviously, Bitcoin was at a much higher price. Network hash rate was lower at that point as well. And they've been kind of flat, more or less, at 13.5 exahash for the last 5 months or so. So as a result, Bitcoin coming down, network hash rate growing, the revenues are going to be coming down as well, and we're seeing that here. Bitcoin HODL also has decreased continually here. And that's why I'm thinking that maybe they didn't dilute as much here. We'll have to wait and see. And then hash rate, like I said, was pretty much flat over the last 5 months here. Not much growth happening there. They should have more growth once Black Pearl gets energized and installed and operating there. BTC sold, you can see how much they've been selling here. So 353 Bitcoin sold here roughly at that point. BTC per exahash efficiency, about 12.9. Not the best, but not the worst, somewhere in the middle there. Bitcoin sold value on that one. We'll get into these numbers here in a second, but institutions and analysts have increased to 312 now. Shares is at 247 million approximately right now, and that's actually 67.35% owned by institutions. I'm thinking because we have a little bit of a decrease here, there was some dilution happening there in the month here, but not much. Still have 7 strong buy ratings, 3 buy ratings, 1 hold rating. Price target for the high stayed the same at 9. The average went down to $6.98, and the low also went down to $4. They're at $3 something right now as it is. So they're pretty close to the low targets here. Going down here for the month of April, we had them mining for approximately 23.82 days out of the month here. So curtailment probably played a role into it, I'm guessing. But that got us to a revenue of, what was that? 13.3 million here in revenue here, if I'm not mistaken, if that's what we're using. Yep, 13.3 million here. And the other part of it was part of the JV there as well. So yeah, based on that information, looking at their numbers for April times 12 months, I'm in between 332 and 497. Analysts are a little bit higher there. I'm using a P of 15 here. They might be looking at also at maybe some HPC potential that they have there. Maybe they're giving a little bit of a benefit of a doubt there, but this is kind of where I have them right now, and they're at 316. So I do think that they're slightly undervalued for their valuation right now based on just their operations and things like that. So we'll see where they go. But yeah, they're just slightly undervalued. Big thing for them is continue to build out, maybe get an HPC deal as well in place. I know that they have quite a bit of megawatts under or in the pipeline as well. So, and they've been buying up sites as well. So that's been good. Other than that, that is it for them. Let me know what you guys think of Cipher. If you guys are invested in Cipher, I don't know if anybody here is invested in Cipher, but let me know, and we'll get you guys in the Q&A section of things. But we got to do a correction here, so shorted here. IREN, so thank you to the Patreon member there that pointed this out to me. I had an error here. I'll point out where the error was. It was down here for IREN, which is right there. I had this number here, which is now 20.8 million. I had 28.8 million. So I added 8 in there twice instead of once. This was for the 331 information there, so I was off. I do apologize for that. Like I said, I will make mistakes from time to time. A lot of data that I'm tracking here. I'm going to be off on a number here and there every once in a while. Luckily, it doesn't happen too often, but we were off on that. So that actually brought up IREN to have the highest increase in shares being shorted here from last time, 6.12 million. Other than that, Cipher was the other one here, core as well. Percentage-wise increase, what would that entail? Yeah, IREN change in shares shorted from last review up 29%. So a huge increase there from that for them. And we've seen obviously the stock not do well here. It's been kind of struggling a little bit, right? We don't know if it's, well, it could be a number of things. It could be that HPCI potential might not be there, right? Like we're seeing with other miners as well. It could be that they don't have a HODL position as well. It could be it. It could be any number of things here. But it could also be that the shorts are getting into them more so now than they have in the past. So looking at still shorted, I mean, IREN's still only 12.7% shorted, so it's the second least shorted here out of the bunch as it is. All right, but that's it. That's all I got for you guys. Kind of easy day, nice, easy Friday night. So it's going to be a quick one. We're in 15 minutes already as it is. Let's get into Q&A. And then let me know if you guys heard an echo with that video playing from Sue Ennis or not. Interested to know on that one, if you could. All right, let's get into Q&A here. As always, spreadsheets are going to be available to my Patreon members. Link for that is down in the description. A couple bucks a month if you want to have access to all the data that I have. And then also if you could preface the questions with a Q or question mark. That way I know it's a question. I'm going to work my way down, as always, from where we are. Let's see here. Chris says, Riot pumped. What the freak? ER was poop. Yeah, I mean, earnings release, I think everybody kind of knew earnings were not going to be great. But they definitely, I think the attention is now more on HPCI, and I think the investors like that more than Bitcoin mining, right? Potentially. Let's see, what else do we have here? All right, John's got a question here. What are your thoughts on CORZ? Would you buy out of IREN? Would you buy and then out of IREN? So would I buy that instead of IREN here? CORZ, I like CORZ. CORZ, I would like them to grow more in their Bitcoin mining side of things, which I think we will see when they're supposed to get the block miners in second half of the year, about 15 exahash, I believe. So we'll see if they get that. That's kind of been the talk of it. It's been kind of quiet actually on that front. So we'll see if that still happens. I would imagine so. So that should help out with their efficiency and everything else. But don't expect huge growth from them on that. I believe they're going to be changing out just some of the older miners there. So they'll maybe get to like 25, maybe 27 exahash or something like that in total. I don't know exactly what they're going to do and what they're going to replace, but they do have a lot of older miners that need to be replaced. Aside from that, their CoreWeave revenue should start flowing in towards the end of the year. They are delayed. They were supposed to be, starting to generate some revenue now, but because of some long lead items as well as just plans maybe being changed and things like that, that took a toll on the timeline. So that's going to be happening later on this year. And then from that, they're going to be generating a heck of a lot of revenue here. So the only way that they're going to grow going forward is, one, either they grow with their Bitcoin mining side of things or they get more customers for HPCI. But like we just talked here a little bit ago, what we're seeing here is the hyperscalers want, these kind of shells where they have just access to land and power and they can build out themselves. So will they work on something like that? Maybe, maybe not. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see, just like for the other miners. But I do like them. And I think they're going to get valued higher as time goes on, as they get closer to generating revenue from CoreWeave on that one. I just don't know how much more they're going to be. They're going to be valued more, but I just don't know how much. All right. How high can Cleanspark go this cycle? Well, I think if Bitcoin at least goes to 2x, so meaning basically goes to 200,000 this cycle, that would be possibly like this year, right? Because we could have an extended cycle where we go into even 2026. At that point, we could go up even higher to 250,000, maybe 300,000, who knows? But just this year, if Bitcoin goes at least 2x, I would expect like IREN and Cleanspark to do at least, I would think at least a 3x. Especially as they do have really good costs in place right now. IREN better so than Cleanspark. But Cleanspark has a lot of HODL as well. That should be valued more as Bitcoin goes up in value. And then just continuation of growth. Well, Cleanspark possibly got more growth still than IREN does with Bitcoin mining. I think IREN's pausing at 52 exahash, I believe. But Cleanspark's probably going to go beyond that as well. So based on that, like I said, I think at least a 3x to 4x would be doable. But they could definitely get shot up even more. They've been suppressed tremendously here in the last year, I would say, with Bitcoin and everything else, and then tides turning for HPCI and everything. So I would expect that, but we'll see if that happens. All right. see. B82 says keep IREN by CORZ. Yeah, diversify a little bit. Hello Guru says Sound 5.5 and then Echo. So you are getting Echo. Okay, I'm trying to figure out why, because that's going straight from my computer to my soundboard here. I don't know where the echo's coming in. Is it coming from? Well, I turned off my microphones too, so that shouldn't have been picking up any of the sound from my ear things that I put into my ear for you guys. But that's weird that you guys are getting echo, because I also recorded a video for myself. I didn't hear the echo, so I don't know if it's on YouTube or what. I got to figure that out. Because it's nice to every once in a while provide these kind of videos for us to take a look at. All right. B82 has a question here. Question, I think the miners, let's see, my wife's calling me right now. Let's see, can't talk. I think the miners must get costs under control. Over 80% of remaining BTC will be mined in the next 7 years. How do they grow profitable? Yeah, costs, they got to get costs under control or get to scale at least, right? If you get to scale, a certain scale, that also helps control the cost, because once you get to scale, your revenues are so much higher than your costs are. But the other big thing is obviously electrical costs, right? You need to get that as low as possible, keep that in check, and then also keep your overhead, SG&A, and everything else in check. If you can do that and get to scale, get to, whether it's 50, 75, 100 exahash in the next year or two, that's going to also help them out tremendously. Let's see, S says, or L, I don't know how to pronounce that, EHL. Bitcoin miner is going to rip faces in the next 6 months to the upside. I'm thinking the same thing, but I've been bullish for a long time. We definitely need that. B82 has another question here. You continue to mention growth focused on hash rate, but isn't everyone, not everyone's focused on it. Infers growth a reduction across other miners, fixed markets, so they can't all grow. Will sovereign states grow also? Possibly. Not every miner is going to be growing here. We're seeing IREN put a pause, Bitfarms put a pause, Riot put a pause. I'm trying to think if anybody else put a pause on their growth here. Hut 8 is transitioning their Bitcoin mining to American BTC. So they're getting out of that business, but they still have a majority stake in there, right, 80%. So it's interesting times right now that we're seeing. In the past, we didn't have that. In the past, everybody was just growing, getting Bitcoin, getting ASICs, growing as fast as they can. So we'll see how that plays out, but it should maybe play out. I mean, it might be a benefit to Cleanspark at that point. I don't know. All right, let's see. Kranz, I'm guessing that's how you pronounce it. Question, is it too late to buy Bitfarms considering it's up 50% in the past 3 weeks? Thanks. Buy on the dips, but I don't think it's too late. I think all the miners are still quite down from where they were anyways. And, if you get still a 3 to 4x on some of these guys here, is it still worth it? I would think so, right? But you got to make your own decision on that one. NG here, what is your outlook on Bitfarms currently with their recent acquisition and also their $300 million loan? So the $300 million loan is for HPCI build out basically, right? They got $50 million right now, and then I guess they have to meet certain milestones in order to get the rest of it. So I like the direction they're heading to, but the only thing is, can they also get an HPCI deal? I mean, we just talked about Hut 8, from Sue's comments on it, not Hut 8's. So I don't know. We'll see. I'd love to see them get a HPCI deal there. Maybe it might not be a hyperscaler, but it might be somebody else. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Let's see. NG also says, I have been averaging on the red days into Bitfarms, people calling it poop farms. Yeah, they do call it that. It has not performed well in the last, I would say, year and a half. And there was a lot of stuff happening back then. I was in it for I'm still in it, but I was buying more heavily last year because of the targets of 21 exahash by the end of the year. As things progressed and the outlook got dimmer for that, I started pulling back, and I only own a third of what I had owned originally, but I sold in the green. Right now on Bitfarms, I am in the red. So if I didn't have to pay Uncle Sam taxes on income, I would have been buying here as well, trying to dollar cost average into a little bit more, get it at a lower price point, especially when it went down to like 60 cents. I would have loved to have gotten it at that point again. But yeah, I think the direction they're going is good, and then we just need Bitcoin to go up in value. But they've had a nice job here in the last, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, being up almost 50%. All right, CJ says echo. Yeah, so you guys are getting echo, okay. All right. Andre says the problem with IREN is they canceled growth in Bitcoin mining to the ATM. That's true, yeah. And 3, the field of dreams in the middle of nowhere. Yeah, it's a big, I mean, it's 2 gigawatts. Like I talked about yesterday, who's going to want to get all 2 gigawatts in one particular site, or they have actually 2 sites that are close by. But if you have a storm go through, a tornado, or anything like that, I mean, you're wiping out a lot of your compute power there at that point, and might not be smart by the hyperscalers to do that. So that's maybe one reason why they might not do that. Could they get 100? Well, maybe they could get like 200 megawatts of that, but I don't know if anybody's going to go for the full 2 gigawatts. Maybe. I mean, somebody could possibly, but I don't know who would do that. All right. Let's see. Benjamin's got a question. Can you make an episode about what Bitcoin miner does BlackRock own and how they own it, and how they own, or how much they own? I would have to look. Let me see if I can figure that out. Let me put that as a to-do list. Let me see here. BlackRock miners. Okay. Give me a sec here. Write this down. I'll see if I can find that information over the weekend here. BlackRock owns, which I think they own quite a few of these guys. And how much they own? I'll take a look to see what they own. Which miners. All right. Got that written down. All right. Let's see. Andre says the story for IREN is too uncertain and unknown. Canceling growth in their only moneymaker while printing $1 billion worth of shares was stupid. I can agree with you there a little bit. I wish they wouldn't have paused it. You can continue to work towards. I think you could have continued to be positive on Bitcoin mining going forward, and just say, if we get opportunities for HPCI, we'll definitely look into them. We'll definitely entertain them. And definitely, if it makes sense for our shareholders and us, we'll definitely sign a deal, right? And in the meantime, we're going to continue to progress forward with Bitcoin mining because they are making really good margins on it right now. Okay, Guide says, in today's market, you need Cult, Tesla, Palantir, MicroStrategy has that part. Yeah, they do definitely have that part. Even though Tesla got beat down, it's doing a lot better. Palantir, I haven't paid attention to that one too much. And then MicroStrategy obviously is doing pretty good here as well. Mara to $60 possibly. Mara's right now, where are they at? $13 or so, right? If I'm not mistaken here. Mara is $14. Okay, $14.50 in change. That would be basically a 4x. So it's possible, right? If Bitcoin goes up 2x, could they get a 4x on that? Yeah, it's definitely a possibility. Could maybe go even higher than that. Right. Andre says Mara, Riot, Cleanspark, Big Three that will make U.S. BTC miner millionaires. Well, the CEOs are already millionaires, so they succeeded in that part. Now it's just the shareholders' turn. So we'll see. All right. Sorry, I had to take a sip. Throat's getting dry. What else we got here? Miner Degen, if you had to choose, who would you go with, IREN or Riot for HPC AI? Oh, man. Riot, they're both trying it, right? Riot's got 600 megawatts, and they might have some more megawatts, about 103 megawatts at the Rockdale facility. IREN's got Sweetwater, those 2 sites, which is about 2 gigawatts. So location-wise, I don't know who's closer to a metropolitan. I think Riot's Corsicana facility is, about an hour from, is it Dallas or Houston? I can't remember. One of those 2. So they're kind of close there. I don't know where Sweetwater site is, how far away that is from any of the sites. Let's see. Yeah, that's a tough one. Who would do better? I mean, we know that Riot's got some investors, activist investors in them. They might know people that might push things their direction. I don't know if IREN has that as well. I don't think they do. I don't think they have any activist investors there that are pushing them in that direction. They kind of did it themselves. And yeah, we'll have to wait and see. But who would I pick? Jeez. I would have to go with IREN because of their Bitcoin mining, more so than Riot on it. And then if they get an HPCI deal, that would be a bonus, a plus. My Antigen says, question, if you had talked about that one already, this is the one I wanted. Neil, Sib, your wife is behind you, should have answered the call. I know she's going to be behind me because there's a black concrete wall behind me. She's going to be behind me, and I can see the way that she would enter in anyways. Let's see. Question, remember the days when miners would pump on news of growing hash rate? Now the sticks die when they cancel growth plans. Yeah. I mean, Mara did that in 2021. Right? Huge growth plans, right? 21 exahash by the end of the year, something like that. They were planning. Stock did fantastically well. It was up 70x from the bottom. So yeah, I remember those days. And we've seen this also last year a little bit, right? Cleanspark announcing that they're getting to a certain amount. The stock took off on that. IREN as well. So we're still seeing it, but we haven't heard anybody provide any growth guidance here recently. Let's see. Rex thinks Cleanspark has an all-in cost of $92,280. Does that include? I don't know if he's including also. Oh gosh. I was going to say deportation, not deportation. What is that? Depreciation, and what was the other one in there? Stock-based compensation as well, I think. I don't know if he's using all those in there. Might be that. I have right now Cleanspark based on Q4 numbers. Let me see, where's the break even on those guys? They were around, but not including depreciation and compensation on it. Where was it at? Break even, there it is. I had Cleanspark at 62, so basically like cash costs. If you add in other stuff in there, yeah, it might be around 92,000 with depreciation and share-based compensation as well. So that might be around there, but I would have to run the numbers on it. All right, let's go to questions here. B82 says, I love Bitfarms, buying every week. Average cost is currently $1.03. Well, you got me beat. My average is $1.41, 42, I think it is. Somewhere around there. All right, question here. What if miners start focusing on efficiency, joules per terahash, replacing old equipment and not adding more hash rate? Maybe after 30 to 50 exahash, less global hash rate equals more rewards. Well, hash rate's not going to go down. With Bitcoin still going up in value, hash rate's going to continue to increase here. The miners can definitely replace some of the older machines here. Cleanspark has a potential to replace a lot of theirs as well. I did the calculation, I think it was 10 to 15 exahash they could replace the older generation of machines there and put in newer ones. So they could still have basically the same footprint of data centers and just replace it with newer miners, more efficient miners, get an increase in hash rate and the benefit of lower joules per terahash as well overall. So yeah, they can definitely do that without having to buy and build out more sites. Okay, let's see. BlackRock increased shares in IREN by 411% as of 3/31/25. Okay, so just about a month ago, more or less. So that's good. But if they had a small amount, depending on how much they actually increased there. All right, question, isn't IREN still growing this year and pausing once the growth is complete? Yes, they're getting to like 52 exahash. They're supposed to get to 50 exahash by the end of June here, the end of the first half, and then get another 2 exahash added on top of that, but they're pausing it at that point. So yeah, they do have a little bit more growth. They're at 40 exahash right now as it is. Let's see, strategy could change, but my real question is how much BTC can they earn even if they grow to 100,000 exahash or just 100 exahash? I think you're talking about 100 exahash. It depends on obviously where Bitcoin price is at. So that's a big contributing factor where the network hash rate is also at. That all that all goes into it. Those are all inputs, basically costs or revenue, however you want to look at it. So there's a lot of things that go into it. All right. Do you think Cleanspark crosses 60 if BTC doubles from here? So Cleanspark's at, what is it now? $8.81. So that'd be a 6x for them. I'm going to be conservative on this. I'm saying that if they can go maybe 3 to 4x, if Bitcoin doubles from here, that would put them around, let's just say they're at $9 now. 3x would be $27. 4x would be $36. If they do better than that, that's awesome. That's going to be great. And maybe the miners do that, where they overshoot Bitcoin when Bitcoin price is going up higher, right? The revenues are increasing because of it, tremendously doubling, right? Profit margins are increasing like crazy. Maybe at that point they do go up, 6x, 8x, who knows? But that'd be, originally I was thinking they were going to go up to around $68, $70. Still have to see that and see if that would play out, but we'll see. All right. Cleanspark target price end of 2025 without if and buts. A test gives us a range. At least gives us a range. Yeah, like I said, I think somewhere between 3 to 4x should be doable. So that would get us between $27 and $36. And then if they, if miners go crazy because Bitcoin's going crazy, then they can definitely overshoot that, and we'd be looking at more like $50, $60 as well, possibly. Right, that's a possibility, but I'm going to kind of lowball it here a little bit. All right. As for IREN versus Riot, at current hash rate, how many more BTC will IREN earn than Riot, minus Riot's HODL or plus? So yeah, not including the HODL, obviously. IREN doesn't have a HODL position there, but Riot's right now, let's take a look at it. So let's go back here. Where's my screen? There it is. Okay, let's go to, well, let's take a look at Riot here. Riot, I think, is going to be going to 40 some exahash, I think, right? They're at 33. I think they're getting to like 40 something exahash by the time everything is said and done, I believe. So that's kind of where they're pausing. They're at 33, last reported as of last month. We'll see where they are now. But they're generating right now, let's see, for March, they generated, what was it? 45 million, right? IREN at that same point had, let me see here, for March, they had, what was their hash rate? 37, so a little bit higher than what Riot was. Riot was 33, so about 4 exahash more. And they generated, IREN generated approximately, where is it at? For March, 45 million, and Riot was, what was that? They were at 45 million also. So pretty close, right? At that point, depending on operational uptime and things like that, that'll play into it here. So that was the same. So if they get to double, get to, I think your question was 200, right? I believe that would double their revenues there. As long as network hash rate doesn't go crazy and Bitcoin stays where it's at. But if Bitcoin goes up even more, I mean, you're looking at generating a heck of a lot more. So if Bitcoin goes to 200,000 at that point, they're going to be generating close to, $90 million, if not more, depending on where Bitcoin transaction fees are at, their costs, and also where the network hash rate is, difficulty. All that stuff will play into it. Or even less if the network hash rate goes like crazy. So there's always a lot of things to consider here. But yeah, growing is always good here. All right, let's go back here. All right. Let's see. All right. Mortem says he included depreciation, cash costs, and stock-based. Okay. Yeah. So that would be about 30,000 more for that, for depreciation and stock-based compensation. So yeah, around 90-some thousand. That would seem right. I don't include depreciation or stock-based compensation. I look at more as like cash cost. What is their cash cost? Because you probably, depreciation, the way I look at it, is a tax thing, right? You put it on for taxes to lower your tax burden. And then if things got really tight, could they stop providing share-based compensation, right? And what is their actual cash cost to make a profit? Could they be profitable at that point? So that's kind of why I look at just the cash cost. What is your top sell price target for Bitfarms? Right now, I'd like to see them get to like $4. That'd be kind of nice if they can get to that. I'd probably start selling right around there, maybe $3.50, $4. I'd start selling. So we'll see. All right. What do you personally think Cleanspark and Marathon's exahash goal is this year? Geez, I don't know. Cleanspark's supposed to get to like 56, 57 exahash based on what they have orders on right now. Mara is even more tight-lipped about their growth here. So I don't know. We're trying to think if Mara has any more sites that they could, that they could possibly switch out some older machines here. Let's take a look at Mara here really quick on it and see if we can do some analysis on it really quick as well. But Mara right now has, let's take a look at their machines down here. They do have, you got 30,000 of these 100 terahash machines. They could probably swap those out. And they do have a boatload of these 140 terahash machines as well that they got in December of 2022 that they had sitting for a while in boxes. So, those probably are going to be running for a little bit longer here, I would imagine. But if they did decide to swap out, they have approximately, what is that there? They got a lot of them. 118,000 of these machines. That equates to approximately 16 exahash as well. And then Cleanspark, right, if they wanted just to swap out the machines without adding in any infrastructure here, they do have also quite a bit of these 140 and 122 as well. and that equates to approximately, what is that? 10 exahash, 10.6 exahash, right? So if they swap those out for newer machines, they could grow the hash rate, to maybe 14, 15, 16 exahash, something like that, without having to do anything on the expansion side. So how much do I think they can grow? I think Cleanspark might be targeting maybe by the end of the year, I would say maybe between 65 and 70 exahash in total. They are looking for a site in Tennessee, right, that they're trying to get approval for on that one, but they're also waiting on approval from the power supplier there to see if they can do it. Mara, like I said, is more tight-lipped. Mara right now, I think, is pretty much installed as it is. I keep adding on newer machines. They're not providing which machines they're adding on or anything like that, so I'm just estimating or guesstimating, I guess you could say here. And yeah, they look like they're pretty much installed as it is right now, based on my numbers here. Yeah, current hash rate 54 here. They're pretty much where they said they would be. So could they continue to grow? Yeah, I'm guessing the same thing, maybe between somewhere around 60 to 70 exahash by the end of the year, potentially, if they do this. Right? Especially if they swap out some of the older machines, they could maybe even grow a little bit more. I don't know. Somewhere around there, I would say somewhere around probably 70 exahash for both of these, potentially. But that's not easy. It's easier to do it when you've got some guidance, and it's also harder to figure out where the network hash rate is going to go because you don't have that guidance from these guys this year. They're all kind of mumming about it and quiet. They're all kind of trying to figure out what's going on with the market, Bitcoin in general. Where's Bitcoin going? Is Bitcoin going to have a similar rally like it did in prior cycles where it goes ballistic this year and then goes into a bear market, or will it actually go into an extended cycle, which some are thinking? The CEO of Cleanspark is thinking we're going to have an extended cycle into 2026 as well, and maybe even beyond that. Yeah, so they're trying to figure it all out, just like we're trying to figure it out as well. Okay, talked about that. Question, isn't depreciation a real cost? Next year, all the miners will replace all the current equipment. Not next year, it will be possibly the year following, but if Bitcoin continues to go up, they can still be profitable longer. The reason that we've had typically like a 3-year cycle on these things is because Bitcoin would go through these cycles where we have a bull run and a bear market. And at that point, when we go into a bear market and the network hash is still growing like crazy, you're not, those things become less and less profitable. But if Bitcoin continues to go up and we get into an extended cycle where it just continues to go up but slower, where it goes up to 150,000, and we have another correction a little bit, 30%, and then we go back up to 180, 200,000, and we have another correction 30%, and then go back up, right? Their machines can possibly even run longer as long as they're well maintained. So it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. I keep saying interesting because this is going to be interesting. Things are definitely in a different cycle. Unfortunately, it's not the same cycle that we've seen in the past here. Let's see. Morton says, Cipher charts don't correlate to your opinions lately. How useful are the charts if they indicate a price based on BTC price, but you think the multiple is less? Well, I don't want to be... You guys know me. From the past, I was definitely more bullish on the miners, I think they're going to do a lot better than they have done. So got spanked on the butt a little times by viewers, by you guys, by commenters as well. So I'm like, okay, let me pull my expectations down a little bit. And if we go beyond that, that's all bonus. But I'd like us to at least reach those targets. But, the cycle's still not over with yet. And maybe my targets will actually come out to be, where I think they should be. But we'll have to wait and see. All right, so I'm kind of tapping down the expectations there a little bit. All right. Did Riot make a profit? No, they did not make a profit. All right, let's see here. Very disappointed from miners, especially from Cleanspark at Zashen. Yeah, the miners haven't done great this past year. You could even say maybe, I would say ever since Bitcoin reached 73,000, miners have not followed Bitcoin. They followed Bitcoin down, but we had the halving event, and then the miners have not followed Bitcoin to the upside as much as we thought they were going to. The miners that were going into HPC definitely did a little bit better last year, but they got their butt spanked as well this past couple months here. All right, let's see here. How much Bitfarms to be a millionaire? You'd have to buy, if Bitcoin goes up 4x, you'd have to buy probably, $250,000 worth to be a millionaire? If that's the case, right? If I'm doing the math right, 4x, a double and then maybe less than that. Yeah, no, 250,000. All right. Okay. Why do you think Mara is tight-lipped? Well, because they came out with growth targets back in 2021, where they said they're getting to 21 exahash, and they were behind on that goal for a year and a half. So I think they were saying by the end of 2021, they were supposed to reach that target, or by the middle of 2022, I think was the target, something like that. And they didn't reach that until 2024? Was that when they reached it? Or late 2023, I think. Let me see where Mara's growth came in at. Yeah, they reached it in March of 24. They got to 24 exahash in March of 2024. So that's why. And, they got hit, they got, what's the word I'm looking for? They got stomped on basically because of it. Their guidance was way off. They were way off by a year and a half on it. I think that's why they're tight-lipped. They're like, we're not providing. We're just going to do what we're going to do. Because they don't want to hear it about it. They don't want to miss targets, basically. Okay, well, Bitfarms back and surpass its all-time high. What was its all-time high? Let's take a look at that one. Bitfarms here. Bitfarms screen on this one. So their all-time high would be probably when? Let's go on the weekly chart here. This was back in 2021. Their all-time high was $9. Right? Looks like it. Well, maybe even back here in 2021, maybe somewhere around there. But they got to $10. They've definitely grown a lot. They've made mistakes a lot. They've corrected a lot of mistakes, and now they're turning the ship in the right direction. I think. Could they get up to that? I mean, that's basically a 10x or a 9x from here. Bitcoin would have to go to like 250, 300,000, I think, at that point for them to get that valuation. But somewhere between, I think, 4 and 6, I think that's definitely doable. They got to 383 here last year. Could they do that some more? Yeah, they could. Bitcoin just needs to go up, I think. Let's see. All right, let's see here. Sean says, hello, I just got on here, so don't know if you answered this. Do you think Riot will continue to stay mid-8 or higher, or will it drop back to the mid-7s? Bitcoin goes up, I think they will follow suit. Right, the ER was not great, but I think that was priced in. People were kind of expecting them to have a pretty sizable write-down on Bitcoin and Bitfarms as well. They own that. So I think that was kind of priced in, and then from here, I think they bottomed out already, along with a lot of the miners as well. So they should be going up as long as Bitcoin goes up here, and if they get a deal with the hyperscaler, then the stock's off to the races again. So yeah, I think it should be up higher from where it's at. Okay. Michael says, so Riot and Cleanspark are the best two mining. Then what is the 2, 3, and 5 miners to watch to buy? Well, Riot, I wouldn't say Riot is I would say IREN and Cleanspark as far as operations are concerned and cost of mining. Those two would be probably the best ones. After that, I would go with maybe Mara because of their scale and the hodl that they have. And their operations have been improving as well. And then I would go maybe Riot, Bitfarms, Cipher in there as well. Who else do we have in there? Hive as well. Great operations, but not being valued on it. So there's quite a few that are way undervalued as it is right now. C, right? See, this is the reason why I kind of lowered my targets. Anyone notice Sebastian's price targets for miners go down each video, left my behind off? What a loser. Well, trying to be a little bit more, I guess, realistic instead of trying to be, way up there in price, I guess you could say. So you learn, right? I'm at least out here putting out my opinions, my thoughts, and I take it on the chin sometimes, which is fine. I'll take the good and the bad. But I'm always open to having a conversation. Hot Water Seb, can you make mining BTC make sense? Doing MicroStrategy doing is seen to have less risk than mining. Then why even bother mining at all? MicroStrategy got all the rewards with much less risk. Thoughts? It's gotten a lot more, I think, fanfare Yes. You also have a very charismatic CEO there, or he's not the CEO there anymore, but you have somebody that's out in front and explaining what they're doing and everything else. The miners mine Bitcoin at a much lower cost. Yes, it's expensive. It's costly to do so. You spend millions of dollars and sometimes even billions of dollars to buy these ASICs, the infrastructure, the data centers, all that stuff that goes into it. But once you buy it, it's yours. And then you can, continually to mine Bitcoin at a low cost as long as you keep your costs down. So MicroStrategy is buying it at spot, or more or less spot. He's buying it at OTC, but the miners can get Bitcoin at a much lower cost. At IREN's got it around 40-some thousand cash cost. Cleanspark's a little bit above that, about 15, 18,000 above that. So you can buy it at a much lower cost, especially as Bitcoin goes up higher. They're going to be still mining it at that cost and have a much higher profit margin at that point. So, but my Sailor and Strategy there are going to be buying it at higher prices, 150,000, 200,000, while the miners are mining it at 40 and 60,000, whatever it is. So that's the reason why, and they should get valued for that eventually, I think. I don't know when it's going to be, but it should. All right. Michael says, I'm confused on which miners, and like Seb put it in the chat box, in order which report the most profits where I can understand better. Watch videos, watch my videos, watch other videos, Anthony and Bryce as well. Watch or get on X. We'll talk about, there's a bunch of great people on X as well talking about the miners and what their costs are. But it depends on what you look at, right? Let's see, put it in the chat box in order to report. Yeah, you just got to, big thing for the miners is cost of electricity, overhead costs at like SG&A, right? That's a big cost for them. Other than that, if they can keep those two things low, they should be in profit. And a lot of these guys are in profit, but they're going to be more in profit as well. All right. Thanks, guys, for coming to my support there. Appreciate it. Yeah. But like I said, I'm willing to take the praise and the negative side of things as well, right? I'm not 100% right on things. I just give you guys my thoughts where I think things should be. Doesn't mean they're going to be that way. I don't control the world. But yeah, thank you. All right, Chuck here. What do you expect to hear at Marathon's Q1 earnings call, and what do you expect will happen to stock price? I think the stock price is going to be fine. I mean, we saw with Riot. Riot provided pretty bad numbers for it. And for Mara, it's going to be the same thing. Mara has a huge hodl position, so they're going to take a big beat down on the value of it. That's going to represent, obviously, pretty sizable write-down. So they're going to be negative EPS on it. Other than that, what am I expecting to hear? I'd like to hear some growth on what they're going to be growing in Bitcoin mining. And then as far as any aspirations for HPCI, do they also have it? Fred's been lately talking about it, where they are open to also doing HPCI deals. So we'll see. C's back at it here. Question, Sebastian, are you embarrassed that you gaslighted your viewers with your stupid price targets? No, I'm not embarrassed by it. Those were my opinions, right? Everybody's free to their opinions. This is just where I think they should be valued. That doesn't mean they're going to be valued there. Cycle's not over yet. So could we get to those targets as well? Possibly. I'd love to see it, and then let you know, hey, we got to those targets. It took a little longer than we thought, but we got to those targets. But we'll see. Even if we get close, I'll be happy. I think most of you guys would be happy here as well. Let's see, you wanted to exit. Okay. Well, I appreciate you coming in, right? Spending the time. You're helping to support me a little bit here, so I appreciate that. Okay. Let's see. More Tim here. Seb, miners perform to the downside when BTC stalls or corrects, but BTC has been range bound for the months. I wouldn't doubt the proxies outperform if BTC breaks new highs, more if extended to, yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking here as well. And like I said, it's a different cycle altogether. We've seen this kind of longer range correction. We saw it last year as well after the halving event, after Bitcoin got to 73,000. And then it corrected, extended for, 4 or 5 months before it started going back up. And we're seeing the same thing happening here now. So, and we'll see how it goes. But I'm still bullish. I'm still thinking things are going to be okay. Thanks for keeping us sane. You're welcome. I know it's crazy out here sometimes. BA2 has got a question here. Are miners really mining at much lower cost when you consider MicroStrategy stock trading higher, so they also buy BTC cheaper? Well, they're not buying BTC cheaper. I mean, I see what you're saying there with the stock going up higher. So you think they're getting more? They're basically getting more Bitcoin for the bang of the buck. Basically, when they do an ATM or something like that, price goes up on the stock, they can buy more. Yeah, it's like that's a flywheel, right? Kind of what they explain it as. But yeah, the miners can mine it at a much lower cost. There's some that can mine at a much lower cost. Some are actually, well, now Bitcoin being at 96,000, they're definitely getting it at a lower cost, but not as low as some other ones. So like I said, IREN, I believe, IREN Cipher should be pretty low as well. Cleanspark is low also. Those guys should be mining it at much lower cost. I think Bitfarms also, with their recent upgrades to their ASICs, is also at a much better price as it was before. And before we had the payoff of the previous CEO, which added to the SG&A there. That bumped up their price to cost actually to mine Bitcoin up higher, but it's down now around 60-some thousand as well. So those guys are doing, yeah, at that point, yeah, they should be definitely lower cost than what MicroStrategy can buy it at. Let's see here. Especially the reason I ask you to list in the chat box, because I can't sit to watch videos being in pain with bad discs in my back. I'm sorry to hear that. To have back surgery next week or after with bad disc pushing on nerve. Oh, that's terrible. I know how back pain is. Maybe not as bad as you have it, but I have had times where I pulled my back and I'm crawling on the floor for a day and a half before things improve. I've also got friends and family that have had problem with their backs. One of the things that have worked for some was those inversion beds things where you kind of flip backwards and do it that way. So let me put that in the chat here really quick for you. So in order, not really in order, but more or less the miners that I think are lower cost. So you got IREN, Cleanspark. Then you would probably have, I think Cipher is in there, Bitfarms. Then we start going into like Riot, Mara area, and then Hive and things like that. So those are the ones that I put in the chat right now as it is. Okay. And hopefully your surgery goes well there and you find relief from your back pain, because I know how bad that can be. Okay, let's see here. If we learn the government is buying Bitcoin in a revenue neutral way, everything changes. Yeah. I mean, there's just so much adoption happening here. We're not bullish enough on this stuff here. And Bitcoin, we had a lot of people calling on Bitcoin going to 50 some odd thousand, right? All the bears were saying Bitcoin's done with, this is the end of the cycle, Bitcoin peaked at 109,000, that's it, we're done for. And we're heading back up as it is 96,000. We're only, 13,000 away from the previous all-time high. And we could possibly break that in the next week or two and be even higher than that. So good things are yet to come, I believe. Let's see. William says, hey, Sebastian, like always, appreciate your content. What are your thoughts on Grayscale, Litecoin, and Filecoin Trust? Litecoin, I used to mine Litecoin back in the day. I used to have Litecoin as well. I got rid of that one a couple years back. Litecoin, I mean, if you look back at the last couple of years on Litecoin, Filecoin, I didn't really follow too much, but Litecoin I did. It lost its place basically, right? It used to be like in the top 10. You had Litecoin, you had Dash in there at the time. This was going back probably now 7, 8 years. You had Dash in there. I mean, those guys are not nowhere to be seen in the top 10 of crypto, right? Bitcoin and then altcoins. Now you're seeing others. You're seeing Solana, however you want to pronounce it. Ethereum obviously still in there as number 2, but some of the other ones have been switching around here. So it's going to bring in some flow in there, but I don't know if it's going to be enough to pump the altcoins there based on that. It might pump them a little bit here, but I wouldn't expect too much of a pump on those guys. All right. And let's see. I think we're all caught up here. So next week we got some more quarterly results coming out, right? We got May 6th, Cipher, CORZ on May 7th. May 8th we got 3, Hut 8, Cleanspark, Mara. And then the following week I think it's IREN on the 14th and BitDeer is the 15th. I think that's everybody there right now. I don't think we got anybody missing. Riot we did already, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, we're missing Hive. And I think Bitfarms and somebody else in there as well. Can't remember who, but we're missing somebody else in there. So we'll get through all that next week. On Sunday, we'll talk about how the miners did against Bitcoin as always. And then we'll see if there's anything else that I want to talk about at that point. But as always, thank you so much for coming in. I greatly appreciate you guys spending the time here on a Friday, especially when you could be watching a movie, doing something else. But you spend it here with me, chatting about miners. I mean, it's as niche as we can get, I think, in the space of investing. The miners are about as niche as you can get. So greatly appreciate you guys. As always, have a great weekend. Love you all. I'll see you guys on Sunday.